From the moment it was founded, the United States of America became a magnet for people in search of a better life, including my great-great-grandfather. It's 1853, and the sailing ship, the Sophie, is en route from Germany to the New World. On board, the 16-year-old Frederick Klein, traveling alone to New York to seek his fortune. But with many of her passengers crammed in below decks, for over 40 days, disease takes its toll, and 3 children die during the crossing. Little wonder that so many of these vessels become known as coffin ships.
But by the time my great-great-grandfather Frederick was coming to the U.S., the age of sail was drawing to a close. In fact, he was part of the last wave of immigrants to come to the U.S. under sail power alone.
That's because sea travel was changing forever, thanks to an invention inspired by the windmill.
In a windmill, the wind turns the blades, right? Well, what if you do it in reverse? What if you spin the blades? Well, then you make a wind.
This is a free-fall simulator. It's giant turbines blasting out air at over 140 miles per hour, fast enough to lift me right off the ground.
Holy smokes! Oh, yes! Oh, wow! Holy smokes! That is amazing! That is absolutely incredible! It's amazing how the smallest little movements really just fling you right around. It's totally unnatural, really. That is a thrill.
Now, while this is all great fun, these turbines also demonstrate a powerful idea.
It's the British scientist Robert Hooke who in 1683 realizes that windmills can not only be powered by the wind, but can create it. And he also figures out you can do the same thing with water.
But like so many inventions, Hooke's brainwave was ignored at first. It took another genius, a century and a half later, to take his idea and use it to revolutionize transatlantic travel. It's the 1840s, and the renowned engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel is designing the most technologically advanced ship ever built.
And this is the result. The SS Great Britain. Now, it weighs 3,500 tons. That's more than 1,000 tons heavier than any other ship then in existence.
The ship is spacious, luxurious, and fast. And although it has sails, its main power source isn't the wind. It's steam. This in itself wasn't new. There were other steamships, paddle steamers. But paddles were very inefficient, making them hugely expensive.
But Brunel had a better idea for propulsion than paddles, and it's what this engine is connected to. This is what makes the SS Great Britain so revolutionary. Its propeller.
Driven by its huge steam engine, this propeller could drive the Great Britain at over 12 knots. And because it was more efficient than paddles, it used less fuel, making it much cheaper.
For the first time, it was possible to cross the ocean in a way that was fast, safe, and affordable. And it was this combination that would change the face of America. You won't find a better example anywhere of the melting pot that's modern America than right here in New York City.
Taking me on a tour of the city is New York cab driver Jawed Tapa.
Everywhere you go, you're gonna see a different person from different part of the world. Like right here, you're in the heart of Chinatown. Now this is like the heart of Little Italy.
And just like that, bam.
Just like
Chinatown,
that.
Little Italy. That's something I just love about it, is how all these different cultures and backgrounds, everyone's just cheek by jowl.
It was propeller-driven ships like the SS Great Britain that enabled mass immigration on a scale never seen before. At the beginning of the 19th century, there were about 10,000 new immigrants every year. By the start of the 20th century, it was almost 1 million, the equivalent of a fully laden Staten Island ferry every day.
But all these immigrants pouring into the United States starts to be a real headache for a group of people with a very important job to do.
Since the birth of the United States, it's been the duty of government to count its citizens. The census.
By the middle of the 19th century, the census isn't just counting people, it's getting all kinds of information about them. Where they live, how old they are, even what they do for a living.
But by the 1880s, the Census Bureau was facing a problem. Because of the rapidly growing population, it was taking longer and longer to process all that information. There was a real danger that the job wouldn't get finished before the next census had to begin.
So the U.S. Census Office decides to launch a competition, asking for suggestions of ways to speed up processing those millions of census forms. And it's a challenge that catches the eye of one Herman Hollerith, a clerk at the U.S. Census Office.
The story goes that Hollerith is sitting on a train when he notices the collector punching people's tickets. Also, that he isn't punching the ticket just anywhere, but in specific places, containing information about each passenger, such as their appearance and where they boarded, all of which gives Hollerith an idea.
And what Hollerith comes up with is this, the data punch card.
Each of these holes represents one piece of data. So a hole here tells you it's male, a hole here that he's 40 years old, and this hole means he's married. But Hollerith's real breakthrough wasn't the punch card itself. It was the realization that these cards could be processed by a machine.
You take a stack of punch cards, you feed them into the tray here, and then press the button.
These machines use small pins to read the data on the cards and then sort and count them. Some machines could sort over 2,000 cards a minute. By the early 20th century, these systems had become an essential tool for businesses and governments. And it all started with the machine Hollerith created to help the census takers, his tabulator.
What this technology does is gives people the ability to process large amounts of data by machine.
And that ability was about to play a significant role in one of the defining events of the 20th century, the Second World War.